love kids, I love horses, let's put them together. Okay? So that was my thinking. But I couldn't get the funds to do this through that company. I couldn't cover the costs, so we formed a nonprofit organization. And through a nonprofit organization, you can solicit funds, you can get donations, you can have fundraisers to cover all those costs. So for the last 5 years, we have had fundraisers and got donations to cover all the costs for the week-long camp we do in July. The kids do not have to pay 1 single cent to come to my camp. And we usually have around 20, sometimes more. If I get more than 20, it gets very difficult for them to have much time on the horse. So I usually try to keep it about 20. But that's why Life Strides Therapy was formed. I still do some of the individual sessions through my other company, but that is completely separate and apart from Life Strides Therapy. So Life Strides Therapy is a nonprofit organization with a 501c3 number, which you got to have to be nonprofit, and that is done strictly to do the camp for the kids, and I'm hoping to expand that into much broader horizons, and maybe with your help, I might be able to do that a little quicker. Okay? It ranges anywhere from physical disabilities that y'all are all familiar with, like cerebral palsy, Down syndrome, muscular dystrophy, all the way to behavioral problems like attention deficit disorder. Trying to think of some more. We have some kids who just have developmental delays that don't really have a particular diagnosis except for developmental delay. Maybe they haven't got to the age yet where they've went through that testing. So autism is a very big diagnosis that we see, and they benefit greatly from this form of therapy because it's so sensory related. You have smells and movement and all kinds of things going on in the arena with the horse. So autism or diagnosis is under that umbrella is a big one. Did that answer your question enough? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Approximately how much do you think it takes to run the camp just for a week?
We've estimated around $3,000 to run the week-long camp, and that covers, which may be another question, that's going to cover some of the help that I get. I do some minimal fees for them. Most of them are done by volunteer, which I greatly appreciate. T-shirts, medals, snacks, craft supplies. I may have to explain that. There may not be another question in a minute, and if you don't ask it, I'll cover it. But what we do at the camp other than just the equine facilitated therapy. But we do need craft supplies, all kinds of stuff like that. It also covers care and maintenance of the horses. During that time, any equipment that the horses may need. And then when that camp is over, the horses don't just go home. I'll have one of them that just goes home because I borrow one of them. But they stay there all year long. So I have to feed and care for those horses even all year long. So some of that that's left goes to covering that. And it covers all that. Did that answer your question? If I'm not answering enough, just ask an additional question.
What are some of the past fundraisers you've tried?
Past fundraisers that I have tried. Last year we did cotton candy at the Dogwood Days in Horseshoe Bend. We have done things like candle sales. Trying to think of Yankee candle sales. Is that the ones that have the fundraisers?
I believe so.
Okay. The donuts. We've tried the donut fundraisers. We're right now currently trying to plan maybe a 5K coming up, and maybe even a softball tournament.
About how many volunteers do you have?
Most of them are volunteers, and that's a good question because I didn't prepare myself for that one. But I would say, it's kind of odd. Sometimes I should have y'all seen pictures of the camp?
They've watched the slideshow so far.
Any of those pictures, was there a picture of all of us?
Oh, I don't know. Let me look.
Good question. The camp runs, and it's usually the second full week in July. And I don't have my phone. To do that, that's another question for somebody else, but to do that, we'll need a covered arena that is climate controlled. And that's the only reason I don't currently do that right now.
restrictions on if we made a new logo? Is there any restrictions or any things that you don't want?
Sky's the limit. I'm open to any suggestions. Our current logo is on my back.
I don't know, but I think did everybody in here, did I show it to everybody today?
It's this one right here.
Okay, yeah.
On the green shirt.
That is.
Live strides. The reason it's like that is because I wanted to portray something that was going up, that is growing, is getting bigger and better. Okay? I'm not pleased with this logo, so suggestions on that would be great. But just keep in mind something that is, the kids are growing, they're getting better. In one of our, if you saw the slideshow with the song on it, dream big. It's bigger, better, dream big.
And then I wanted to ask, on the logo, do you want it to revolve around the camp, like with hippotherapy, or and the horses and stuff, or?
Not necessarily around the camp. And I gave Miss Lindsay a copy of what used to be on our website that is not currently working. That's a big need. But I actually had made copies of what was on the website before it went down. It has a mission statement on that. And in my mission statement, I'm kind of vague on that because the hopes are that we do expand and we get bigger and this becomes a year-round thing and not just a one-week camp. But it always is going to revolve around the hippotherapy or the equine facilitated therapy. So if you wanted to incorporate a horse into it or something like that, that would be safe.
What kind of materials do you use during the week?
It'd be a good time to insert this. During the camp week, we're doing the hippotherapy, and I have the ones leading the hippotherapy sessions. We usually have 1 or 2 groups going, but there will be a therapist that's licensed and certified to do that. It can be an OT, PT, speech. I'm not too picky right now. It's just OTs and CODAs. But there'll be a therapist leading that group. There's a horse leader. There's a sidewalker. So that's why volunteers come in handy because we have a lot of positions to fill. So for every kid that we see on a horse, there is 3 adults or older kids that's helping with that, okay? So that's 2 teams running that. But during the time that we're doing the hippotherapy, and that goes on all morning long, we have different stations that the kids are involved in. We have a craft station where they're involved with all kinds of craft activities. We have an, what do we call the physical activities? My mind just went blank.
Just games,
Games
right?
and activities, that's what it's called. The games and activities station where we do all kinds of outside games and activities. And then we have a water play station, and that kind of expands into different things like reading books too. But we have water play, different things that involve water. So as far as supplies go, I need crafts. It's different every year. I need craft supplies. I need water play supplies, and I also need some new games and activity supplies. Usually, I'm building that, but all of that is necessary. And the craft stuff we really run through, so that stuff is things you can't reuse year after year. I'm always looking for new horse supplies because we need good things with that. Did that answer your question okay?
How far in the community do you want us to promote Live Strides?
Younger or older?
Pardon?
Younger or older horses?
Well, I'm going to explain that in a second. The horses that we've used in the past have been older, and they get to a point where they're no longer able to be used. So I've had to retire 2 of my very best horses in the last year, which makes me very sad. They're not gone. They're just in a horse retirement home. But it still makes me very sad. So I am on the lookout for 1 more really good therapy horse. It has to be a very wonderful horse for me. I don't want any unpredictable things happening, which they do, and they have, but they're very safe.
What kind of advertising do you usually do?
We send out a flyer. I already have a big market base for people to come to my camp because usually it's the kids that I'm seeing for therapy already. I do accept kids that I do not see for therapy, but I have to visit with them and kind of get a feel of what their needs are. But I send out flyers for that. And other than that, I haven't had to do a whole lot of marketing because it's already there. You know, don't want to open too big of a can of worms. You know what? If we open a big can of worms, we'll just extend it, make it another week, grow it, get some grants, and make it year round.
How can we make the cat grow?
Good question. I need some good projections on what it would cost to do this year round, and in that respect, a covered arena would be a good place to start. If anybody wants to know, the arena size is a 50 by 70, and we need to figure out how much it's going to cost to cover that 50 by 70 arena. Now, we can do it in steps if we need to. We can cover the arena and then eventually enclose it, okay? But the covering is the most important thing. Anybody else?
Throughout this, how do you keep the kids inspired, like, to stay strong and confident throughout the whole thing?
Kids are amazing. They really are. That's why I love to work with kids. You do not have to motivate a kid like you do an adult, because they motivate themselves, and the other kids motivate them. They take play, and you get all kinds of things from play, and they don't realize they are getting as much as they're getting from it because they enjoy it so much. But my biggest tool there and my biggest key there is the horse. You give a kid a horse to get on, that's motivation enough. That's why it's such a great thing.